You're in the Business Insurance Zone with me, Steve Savant, national insurance columnist and financial color commentator. This week on The Biz, the Hybrid Product Series. And on today's show, in tribute to LTC Awareness Month, term life insurance and living benefits with special guest, Joe Racich.
When it comes to life insurance, annuities, long-term care, disability, or group pension plans, we're the news you can use.
Well, welcome everyone to the Business Insurance Zone. I'm your host, Steve Savant, and we're broadcasting live to a nationwide audience of financial advisors right here in Fountain Hills, Arizona, home of America's largest fountain. And with me today and all this week, hybrid expert Joe Racich. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you, Steve.
Mel, we talked the first Monday. If you missed Monday's show and you say, I heard you guys had stats, you had probabilities, studies, on all this about LTC and all the surrounding things that could happen, catastrophic, chronic illness, accelerated, terminal illness, all those things. You want to see stats that can actually help you give a compelling case to buy these hybrid products. Catch our show on Monday, www.brokersalliance.com.
After all, it is long-term care awareness.
It is, this whole month. And this is why people are up there. It's all over the web. So this is a good time. If you are a social media person like I am, you're tweeting on it, you're blogging on it, this is the time. Now today, we're going to shift gears because we did Tuesday's show yesterday. If you didn't miss it, single premium whole life, single premium UL, depending upon your persuasion. There's a few indexes out there now. It's you name it, we are, if nothing else, we're a very creative industry, okay? But now today we're going to talk about term. Now, I'm just going to quote this stat that I heard when I first became an agent 30 years ago, and that was that 2% of all term insurance ended in a claim. However, did you know, Joe, that over the last decade, it's 1/2%.
It's amazing.
I mean, talk about turnover in that market.
You know, we've been talking about permanent products yesterday's show. Again, large deposits or transfer of life insurance cash values or 1035 or 10% free withdrawal out of an annuity to buy these products. But again, it's all about affordability. You know, as much as we want to think that anybody could just go to their bank or a stock brokerage account and write a check for $100,000 and here you go and everybody's happy and they got more protection. Well, that's just sometimes not the case. You know, again, we talk about the large unemployment today, but people still have families. People still need to have protection. And, you know, God bless the insurance companies. They are innovative. You know, they come out with a term product, Steve. A term life insurance product that has absolutely no cash value, guarantees, unlike the traditional long-term care that, as you know, the premiums can go up. They come out with a term policy that in the event of a chronic illness where an individual cannot perform 2 of the 6 activities of daily living, and they'll actually take the death benefit and accelerate to help them get through their confinement times. What's worse? Nothing's worse than being sick, having an illness, trying to get well, and worrying about money. That does not help somebody's ability to get well.
When you think about it, term insurance,
Chokes
5
you up,
years,
doesn't it?
chokes me up. 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20, 30, 40 years of level term. I mean, I've lived to see the day. Now we're going ahead and putting all these riders on, and there are a few carriers, I have to say, Joe, that have at least 6 of these morbidity riders, and some of these actually add another 4 to 5. You have to pay for them.
Right.
But my goodness, all on a what? Term life chassis.
Term life chassis. And if you're an agent out there, everybody says, you know, boy, I could use some leads, supplement my sales. You know what? This is the easiest product to get a client with, because it's amazing how many people actually own term insurance. You know, they do talk a lot about the uninsured in America, but if people have insurance, there's a good majority of them that have term insurance. So just all you have to do is go ask your client. Say, oh, by the way, do you have the old term insurance or the new term insurance? Because the new term insurance, not only does it provide a death benefit to your family in the event that you die, but you don't have to necessarily die. And we talk about, you know, chronic illness, but there are other riders, which I'm sure we'll get to, but we're going to kind of concentrate on the long-term care. So it'll accelerate the benefit. So somebody can't perform 2 of the 6 activities of daily living. And just for example, they have a $500,000 term life insurance policy. They'll accelerate up to 90%. That's $450,000 capability to use that money for a long-term care event, to help you get well. And it's we're going to get into this at another time, but it's indemnification. So they're not going to ask for receipts if the doctor says I can't perform, or you can perform, or whoever has this long-term care event cannot perform 2 of the 6. They'll just write a check. The company will write a check.
Well, when I think about term insurance with living benefits, we tried a market experiment on this. I mean, think about this. We tried to beta test everything. We're not going to come to you and tell you to do something if we haven't tried to figure it out. And we took a carrier. Well, actually, with all the benefits, it was more expensive than the traditional term platform by what?
Up to 50% more.
Almost 50%. So why would you want to do that? Because the package, the bundle, was so valuable that that became, think about this, and we do 1,000 apps a month out of here. Think about this. It became our number 2 all-time seller in less than a year, because I think we hit the consumer jugular vein on this issue.
Absolutely, and the agent, he didn't have to show the cheapest, but what he did is he compared the product. He said, you know what, all right, here's a term product, and you know what, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, Mr. Client or Mrs. Client, it's more expensive when it comes to straight term insurance. But when you compare it to going out and buying a long-term care policy and then adding the cost of that to the lowest cost
possible, right?
Possible, it was extremely less expensive. But we built that presentation so we can walk the clients, the agent can walk the client through the presentation, talking about the chances of suffering a critical or a chronic illness. Talk to them about the fact that this pays beyond a death benefit.
Well, when we come back, we're going to continue to address term life insurance with living benefits featuring long-term care coverage. And don't forget, you can enroll in IULUniversity.com for the best training, education, and sales support when it comes to life insurance for retirement income.
You're listening to the insurance industry's #1 resource for products, planning ideas, carrier information, and interviews you can use. When it comes to life insurance, annuities, long-term care, disability, or group pension plans, we're the news you can use.
Welcome to the Brokers Alliance Auction House. I'm Jessica Lopez, and that's Steve Savant. What are you doing?
I'm practicing my auctioneer skills for our carrier bidding process for our producers' substandard cases.
Steve means that we're packaging our substandard cases for underwriters with specific carriers that are known to specialize in certain health impairments.
There are really only a handful of competitive carriers in each category, and we've identified who they are.
It's all about securing the best possible underwriting offer by packaging your substandard case with the right carriers.
So let the bidding begin. Well, welcome back to the Business Insurance Zone. I'm Steve Savant with Joe Racich. And remember, you can order today's giveaways at thebiz@brokersalliance.com. And we're giving away the Long-Term Care Manual. Easy to read. I want you to look at this. I don't want you to spook you because this is a good manual. We've done a good job of packaging this, and I say in English. And also, we have the Long-Term Care Consumer Survey, which we're using as prospecting tool. It's great. And we'll also send you the PowerPoint presentation. For agent use only, it's really educational. I think it's a great tutorial for you. And just a heads up, before moving forward with any of the ideas you hear on our show, always consult your tax advisor and broker-dealer compliance officer. In this segment, we're talking about term life insurance. I've lived to see the day. With living benefits featuring long-term care and a potpourri of sideshows. I have to say, Joe, the first one that I came into was this issue of people when they get sick later on in their life, it becomes chronic. It's not just I get sick, I get better, I go back to my daily walk.
Right.
Now I'm sitting there like, I have an ongoing issue. It's chronic. I can't believe on a term chassis that they can afford to pay ongoing lumps or a lump sum for a chronic illness like this. And talk a little bit about that, because I think this is an amazing consumer feature. And remember, if you're watching our show, remember we're almost at 20% of our show is being watched by consumers on the internet. This is something that you may say, wow, Steve, I never saw this. And if your family has a propensity for illness, long-term illness, chronic issues, this could be a way to play, especially for the middle class.
The thing you have to remember, this is life insurance. Again, we have these riders on here, but the insurance company always wants to maintain a certain amount of life insurance for that client. But in addition to that, they've built this rider. Again, depending upon the carrier, they're all a little different. You got to check. up to 90% of the death benefit for this chronic care. And you don't have to take it all. So, you may, as you said, that chronic condition may stay with you to the point where you're going to, you'll recover and maybe you have to go back. So, they may offer you, the insurance company may offer you a couple of $100,000 on a $500,000 event. Now, that's going to reduce your death benefit. You don't have to take it all. The thing is to be able to pay those bills during your recovery time. Again, peace of mind, not having to worry about those finances. And again, down the road, if you had another situation, had to go back in for that same chronic condition, again, it's going to pay an accelerated benefit on that term policy. And again, this is insurance professionals, this is a perfect opportunity to get clients. Because we know that clients buy this. You mentioned it. When they see it, even though from a term standpoint it's more expensive, they still buy it. They understand what it costs them to buy this long-term care policy. Is it the best plan that they can buy? Probably not. But it's that bridge we talked about on Monday's show. It gives that client an opportunity to have some time and money to get well and pay
Actually,
bills.
if we didn't have the phrase hybrid product, we should just call this the middle class product. Because it's down the middle, we're sharing both sides of the fence, a morbidity issue and a mortality issue. And what I like about it is, and we just talked about chronic illness, think about critical illness. This is another issue. There's a distinction here. And what I like about it is you say, well, what kind of definitions do I have to get to? What kind of language does the contract say? Well, it says, I just need a licensed physician.
Yes.
To tell me that, hey, I'm in critical illness, here it is, send them the attending physician's statement and send it to them, and the moment they verify from a licensed physician, then you can start receiving critical illness benefits.
Critical illness is heart attack, stroke, cancer, those are the major three. Every 26 seconds, somebody in the United States has a heart attack. Every 40 seconds, somebody is diagnosed with some form of cancer. And every 30 seconds, somebody has a stroke in the United States. So when you think about that, do you know anybody in the last 5 years who suffered a heart attack, stroke, or cancer? And did they live? Right? So we've got the protection for the life insurance. That's all great. But you have this extra coverage. Some carriers, one in particular, if you've bought a policy from any other carrier that was just a pure death benefit policy in the last 5 years, they'll allow you to add on up to $500,000 of coverage, non-med. So if you sold a policy and they were standard or better, and they have a $500,000 term policy or $250,000 term policy, you could go back to that client and ask them, do you have term insurance? And let me show you the new term insurance. Now, keep what you've got. You can always use more, use that 200, 500, but use this other as additional death benefit and for those long-term care or critical illness events.
Well, I like the option there because now we're talking about, we're past, this isn't even simplified issue.
Non-med,
We're
it's
non-med.
just, no blood, no urine, no APS.
And I know they have a few carriers that they blackballed on the list, but most of the carriers that we play with are going to be okay with this. So keep in mind, and I think it's a strong issue when you think about it. I'm looking at terminal illness. Now, this has been around for a little while now, where we accelerate benefits. What happens when my critical illness turns into a terminal illness? What happens when my chronic condition turns into a terminal illness? They advance the death benefit and accelerate it. Again, on the actual paperwork of the doctor.
Again, life insurance companies have sometimes get a bad rap, but when you think about a terminal illness, and if they give you 6 months or a year to live based on your condition, but you could still function, and now the insurance company will actually give you money to go do those things that you've always wanted to do, take a trip, buy something for your grandkids, whatever, that they're giving that to you so that you could enjoy it while you're alive. I mean, this is the insurance companies that do this. So they're fantastic.
Remember,
that's why we're in the business.
Oh, that's why we're here. Remember, you can watch this show and all our shows right on our homepage at www.brokersalliance.com. Well, that's the Buzz on the Biz for today. You've been in the zone, the business insurance zone.
The Biz is brought to you by Brokers Alliance, a national leader in insurance products, support services, and educational workshops. When it comes to life insurance, annuities, long-term care, disability, or group pension plans, we're the news you can use.